Hello everyone, and welcome to The Man Behind the Curtain. I'm Randy Young, the guy in the red shoes, and I've been in the video production business my entire career, and it's taken me around the world a few times. But more importantly, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the most creative people in television, and boy do they have stories to tell about the business and the people who make it happen. We've always been told, ignore the man behind the curtain, but you can talk to me. I'm amazed by engineers all the time. They've got such knowledge. They know what they're doing. I'm with one of the best right now, Steve Lidsey. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Randy. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So let's start out. Give me just a brief bio. Where you are, where you came from, how you got here.
Excellent. I grew up in St. Pete, Florida. We're in Orlando now, like 90 miles away. And we had a magnet school in high school. So we had a TV studio, we had edit suites, we had cameras, we did field work, and we staged Florida journalism program show in Orlando every year. So we would rent projectors and screens, and we were doing our own shows in high school. So that got me hooked big time. So when I went to college, I went to Florida State in Tallahassee, and went right to the media production program there, which got me involved in the sports program. So I was working in trucks, shooting baseball, basketball, golf, and football. Football was great. It was bringing a lot of money into the program back then, so because we were really good, winning national championships.
Sure.
And so
Seminoles, right?
Seminoles, yep. So I was around the program a lot, did the Bobby Bowden show, which was great. I love that man. So he was a lot of fun. And then after that, I was going to move to Atlanta. Well, I did move to Atlanta, and I got an internship at Crawford, which is a huge post house in Atlanta. They do all the Home Depot, Coke, Turner, all the work went through Crawford. Plus, they're a big uplink facility, and so I learned a lot about edit rooms and what that process is like, and what's what I thought I wanted to be. And then they said, we also want you to go in the field work and work with the engineers, and because we were priming for the Olympics. It was 95,
Sure.
Olympics were 96. So all of the countries wanted tours and shoot all their facilities, all their restaurants, all their hotels, all their, where their athletes stayed and everything. So we did that for all the programs and the countries that wanted us to do it. And so that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about Atlanta real quick.
I bet.
I did, and then after the internship was over, I met a friend named Scott Demaray, and he worked at an AV house, a staging company for corporate. And I didn't know anything about corporate, and I just started talking to him, and then he said, send a resume to my boss and see if you can get a job. And so I did, and he basically called me like 5 minutes later and said, come on down and talk to me.
You're in Atlanta.
Yep.
You've now got a new job with the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great, but let me go back one step. High school and then college, was it more than just a job? Was it, you said
I loved it.
It just pinged you.
It hit. It was just like, that was it. I know this is what I want to do. It was a hard program to get into, so they had a film program and they had a media program. And I thought I wanted to do the film at first, but that was so hard to get into. So I applied for both, and I ended up getting the media program, and I loved it. It just
a lot of people I've talked to say it's a passion. It's not just a job. It hits your soul. It hits your heart.
When you work this hard, you have to love it. It's not an easy job. It's not for everybody, and you just gotta. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it.
Well, when you started working more corporate gigs, you left the broadcast after the Olympics and Crawford and all of that. What was the main difference you found?
Less yelling.
Sure.
A lot less yelling. It seemed to be structured more. There was schedules and timelines, and it wasn't in such a hurry all the time, mostly. my first boss tried to break it down for me and tell me, there's a difference between the way you'd shoot a corporate show and the way you'd shoot a TV show. And so I learned a lot about, how you frame things for a corporate event that's being archived or being used later for something else, and some of the angles you need and some of the wider situations and establishing shots and stuff. And then just mainly how you incorporate a lot more of the PowerPoints and the teleprompters and everything, and how it incorporates into the live event rather than, rolling it on a camera teleprompter and everything with the monitors. And then there was, the technology kind of got me too, because I was coming in at the end of slide projection, all those shows with the 50, 100 slide projectors, all queuing everything. So I came into three gun projectors and even some of the old Telarias and oil-based projection. So I thought that was fascinating because there's so many things that you can do at the time to adjust for those projectors and that equipment that doesn't exist in the digital days anymore. So it was fun to learn all that.
Well, the technology has changed huge.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that relates to the question I asked you originally here was the difference between the two. And one of the things I found when I left the broadcast world, for the most part, I still do some broadcast stuff, still do some on-air shows, but when I started getting into industrial stuff, they listen to you. Mm-hmm. These people don't have the bias that we're leaving of how you do things and what you're able to do, and you're showing them what experience you've had, and they love that. They saw these new ideas that they didn't know they could do, either projection or with different cameras, different lenses, electronic technology that they didn't know they had.
Right.
And they appreciated that. I found a lot more appreciation in it.
I agree. I think the corporate world is a lot kinder at times than some of the broadcast world can be.
Sure.
And there's a little bit more grace in the timelines and how to get things done. You got to get it done by this time, but let's go through the stages of seeing, rather than moving things 5 or 6 times, just let's have your input now and put it where we think we want it, so I can focus on the next thing.
Sure. Well, and of course I think it's cleaner work. You're staying in nice places. You're not parked in a truck by the dumpster at the baseball field.
Right. Yes. You're not living on buses. You're not. Yeah.
Oh, bus travel, yuck.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the technology. What's it done in your career time?
It's sped up so fast. It seems like it changes about every 4 or 5 years. Because we went from composite video to component standard def, and then we went to SDI standard def, and then we went to HD, component HD, SDI, and now we're at 4K and 8K. So the progression was really fast, and so you had to learn all those tools really quickly. You had to pick up, okay, we need to add these things, which means we need to add another scaler or processor that'll allow me to ingest that and then make it all the same as what I have in a video switcher. Mm-hmm. So it hit fast, and thankfully by that time I had moved to Alford Media in 2000, and they were buying all that new equipment to keep up with that pace.
Where did you learn all of that? The new equipment, is it just on the job learning, just reading the manuals?
I would read a lot of manuals. Nowadays it's a lot easier with YouTube and watching videos and learning that way, which I love. But yes, a lot of really thick Grass Valley manuals and Tektronix manuals. And then Alford, especially when they bought a new piece of gear, they would have a trainer come in for a couple days and show you, like, okay, this is how this camera works, this is some of the features, this is a new thing that you can do, this is these are some of the ways you can get around this and this and this. Okay. So it was helpful.
Well, I'm just amazed that you bring all these boxes in, you empty them out, you lay out miles of cables, and you know where all the connections are.
Yes.
That boggles my. I'm a more creative guy.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
work with my eyes and work with my brain and work with the producers to deliver their message. You've
Right.
got to work with crazies like me, plus the producers, to put it all together with all of these wires. And
Right.
and any one of those, any one tweak on any one little box somewhere along the way can throw the rest of the chain
Correct.
out of whack.
Easily. So the way I get through that and the way I process those projects is I have to draw it out. So I spend a lot of time, and I've done it for almost 30 years now. I use a drafting program to draw a blueprint.
Right.
And so
I've seen many of them.
Yes, yeah, I know you have. So cameras, sources, graphics, media servers, they all have, they're all assigned on the left side, and then I'll draw lines that tell me where they go. They go to the switcher, they go to the E2 or whatever processor we're using. A lot of times they have to go to both, so they have to hit a hub or router so that I can be able to move things around. But when I do that, when I draw these lines and I put all that stuff in, it just sinks in. And then when I get on site, it's already there. And I just know that, okay, I just have to look at this, the IO sheet, and I know, okay, that's reason why I did that. It's because I need it here and here, and it needs to be able to route cleanly to both places and go to record, so.
Well, every time, I mean, you basically build it every time.
You have to build it every
nothing.
time,
And
from scratch.
It's brilliant. It boggles my mind. And
Thank you.
Like I've told you many times, I think you're one of the best in the business
Thank
that
you.
I've ever worked with.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I love working with you, and
Well,
thankfully I get to do that 4 or 5 times a
All
year.
right, so let's talk about who's doing this business. Are you seeing younger guys come in that you can mentor?
I'm trying to drag as many as I can in right now, right? Because that's where we're seeing a huge deficit, is there's not enough young people.
Right.
And we're all getting older and can't do it forever. So I just got my nephew in the business like a couple of years ago. He's on this show with us. He's doing records, Sean.
Okay.
So he's doing great. Sam, your robo-op, Brandon is coaching her along, and she's doing fantastic. So
Yeah, she's done a great job.
Yeah.
But it's so hard because everybody wants the glory and the shiny stars
they
of
want
sports or entertainment.
the quick trophy, yes,
Right.
the participation trophy.
And I think we're more a long-term,
It is.
long-run career
It is.
business.
It is a long-term business, and that's what I was trying to tell my nephew is, this is a great business. You can make money in it. You can be really happy in it, and it could give you inspiration and make you feel good about yourself. But if it's not what you like and you don't get anything, you don't have a passion for it, then maybe it's not right.
You got to have the passion for it.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
Really do, because
That's what
it's hard
everybody's
work.
told me. It's hard work. It's rewarding work.
It is work. Yeah, especially these kind of clients.
Where's it go next? Where's the technology going next? What do you see?
What we're dealing with now is everybody's pushing for 8K, and the LEDs are getting so dense. The LED surfaces that we're using in the shows, they're getting so dense, it requires huge amounts of bandwidth. So building boxes that will accept that much bandwidth and being able to either project it or put it on LEDs, it takes a lot more. And they're catching up, but not fast enough. So, because we're dealing with such wide graphics, like this shows 7680 by 1536, and that's beyond the span of what E2 can actually show you on a multi-view. So we had to break it up so that we could see everything. It's just too big. So there's some new products, there's 3 or 4 new products coming out that are gonna allow us to ingest huge graphical files, like 8,000 pixels wide, and then just have that as one feed.
Wow.
And then you can put it on anywhere you want. So that's where it's going now. It's like, we're moving past 4K already and into 8K. And
What's the benefit of that?
well, if you think about something like the Sphere, which I just did a show at, and it's 16K by 16K. It's giant. And so it eliminates the need for having a bunch of servers. So you can have one server that does a tremendously wide piece of content, and you don't need to break it up into 17 pieces to be able to ingest it and then recompile it on whatever processor you're using. So it allows for bigger shows, bigger LED, more dense LED, more better looking LED. It gives us the opportunity to not have so much equipment, to just minimize it down to, you know, some really powerful graphics machines, some really powerful processors, and some great LED.
Okay. Well, what about like the Sphere? How do they program that stuff? I mean, you just don't sit down at a Mac and program it?
No. And they're very secretive about it because it's all proprietary. But they have a place in Burbank they call the Little Dome, and they do all the programming there. And it's a 16th scale of the Sphere.
Wow.
So all the content, they can bake it in at the 16th scale, and they see everything, and they can render everything out and make it all the way they want it to, and then they bring it into the venue.
Wow.
That's the way they did it last time, and it worked great.
No, I've never even been inside the place yet. I don't know.
I've seen 2 shows there. I've seen Dead & Co. twice there, and then we did Deloitte there this year. So it's a great place. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's not a engaging environment to, you know, see a band and be real close to the band. It's all about everything that goes on here.
Right.
But you have to think about that because it's so vast. You need a lot of content.
I'll bet.
A lot of content. And some of the shows, I just don't think they're going to have enough. You know, U2 had enough. Grateful Dead has tons of content that they can put on. So that was a great show.
Is it content that they have built for that show?
Mm-hmm. Specifically built for the show.
Wow. Okay. Speaking of specifically building, there's also specifically breaking. What happens when things break?
Can I work around it? Is there another piece of gear that I have on site that I can make work, or can I use a piece of gear as an A/B switch so I can get both of them in and then only have to go to the backup if it fails? But there's times, I'll tell you a story about a cruise ship, which is never the easiest thing to do.
Right.
We go to Fort Lauderdale, no, we're porting out of Puerto Rico. So we fly to Puerto Rico, and it's the first time this ship has gone out. It's like a medium-sized cruise ship operated by a French company. And they brought it over to take all these executives, 2 waves of executives out, around, and then back. And so we get there, and we only have like 6 hours to get the gear on, you know, lift it onto the boat and get it positioned and stored safely. And then in the meantime, me and the TD went to go look at the power situation, and because they said it was going to be 208 power. And we get there, and it's 480 power. It's 208 a leg, which doesn't work, and can't work for our situation, our distro. We couldn't power anything on the boat. Everything was C-form connectors. There was no way to power anything. So we're like, uh-oh. So a flatbed truck pulls up with a big generator. Not the generator I thought it was going to be. Not the
little one they said.
No. And I said, okay, well, whatever you do, you write on a piece of paper that this is 2,500 pounds wet, meaning it's fully fueled and it's 2,500 pounds. So he did. So I gave it to the French guys, and they said, no, I don't believe you. We hook it up, get it going, lift it up, start the lift, and it goes up like 2 inches, and it stops. I'm like,
oh no.
So I'm yelling at Ernie. Ernie's up top, receiving, and he's like, we just blew the breaker. I'm like, okay. So they find another breaker, power it up, lift it up, get it on the boat, and then it's really raining now, and I'm the only one down on the flatbed hooking up all the hoists and bringing this thing up. And then we have to 500 feet of feeder, individually wrapped, that was all in a muddy rodeo or something. So here I am hoisting up all this muddy feeder to get it on the boat, and then get it all done.
Heavy.
It was terrible. It was awful. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. And so the French people watched me the whole time. Nobody helped. And finally get off the flatbed of the truck, and he goes, you can't come in our boat like this, because I was covered in mud.
You were covered in mud.
I was covered in mud. He's like, you can't do that. So I'm like, okay, can you go get me a robe or something, or is anybody? And so Ernie goes to his room and throws a robe down from the top.
Overboard.
Over the top. And I put it on, because they weren't going to help me at all. And so I snuck in the ship through the back alleys. They walked me up there. And then I went and showered and changed. And we were able to make it work. There's more to the story, because when we came back to take the second wave, we were supposed to refuel. And I was calling the Agreco guys, and I wasn't able to get a hold of them. And because we had marine fuel on board, which has oil in it.
Okay.
And I had already cleared it with the captain to be able to put that fuel on if we needed to, but I wanted to check first. So finally they got back to me the day we were reporting and said, do not put marine fuel in it. Of course, they'd already done it. It's like, oh, we have to come out there, we have to drain it all, and then we have to completely clean the inside and change all the filters. So now we're...
For the second...
For the second wave. So all that gets stripped out, takes ungodly amount of stuff. So we're holding the ship again. And the only way to fill with the proper gas is 5-gallon buckets walked all the way.
All the way from the dock. Oh man.
All the way onto the ship.
5 gallons at a time. How many gallons
at
do
a
you
time.
need?
It was like a 200-gallon tank. So that's when things go really bad. But
that's
it worked.
Yeah.
We got the show up.
Compared to just getting the graphic on the screen,
yeah.
There's quite a difference.
Yes, there's a big difference. I can't get anything anywhere because we don't have anything to light anything up with.
I think working on cruise ships, there's always something like that.
It's always bad. It's always middle of the night working, because you can't disrupt the normal flow of the cruise ship usually, right, unless they buy it out completely. So yeah, I've done 3 of the most miserable jobs are on cruise ships.
On cruise ships. Wow, that's amazing.
Definitely.
So, when we're talking about what's next, do you think there's any more great big technological changes?
I think we're just going to be fine-tuning for a while with some of the technology that I'm starting to learn about. Angel, who did the color here, he's a brilliant person, and he shows me a lot of things about how to fine-tune LEDs and how to make them perform the way you want them to, without sacrificing anything. And so it's a big deal. There's a lot of little tricks to make some of the cameras, give certain cameras looks that you want to create on a consistent basis, and working with lighting, trying to fine-tune that balance of what I call one plane telemetry. So everything's on the same color temperature, so the eye, the camera, the projector, the LED, they all see the same thing. So on this show, it's a perfect example, because everything looks consistently the same across the board.
Yeah, and that gives me the freedom to take bigger, different shots.
Yes, way bigger shots that look right.
Yeah,
it looks like beer.
It
doesn't look like purple, whatever, grape soda.
All right, let's take a step back in time. Go back a little bit.
Okay.
When you were going through school and just starting out, is there anything that you would do different as you look back than what you did?
I should have played music. I should have done something musical, and because I played soccer my whole life up until college, and that was my thing, year-round. Florida, you can play year-round. So,
where is this career going to go for you? Where are you going to finish? What do you think it's going to happen?
I'm trying to just assemble the right people to get everybody together to be in the same mindset and want to think that way, so that we can support people going forward. It's not always going to be me, because I'm working as hard as I can, and I can't. It's not sustainable. It's not.
You can't do it all.
I can't. I just can't.
Well,
so the help I'm getting now, the people that are left after the pandemic, are all the best people, and we just need more young people to supplement that.
Yeah, I think I consistently work with the same floating group of people.
Right.
There's changes here and there, new people here and there, not a lot of new, but it becomes so rewarding to have those people that you can rely on,
Right.
That you can trust to make something happen. That I've got to go away for a meeting or somewhere, and I trust that you're going to have
Yeah.
stuff ready for me
Yeah.
that anticipates my needs, and
Right.
that's the best part of working with these people and with you,
Right.
frankly.
Thank you.
I can get these things done, and I know that it's going to happen. I know it's going to work, and I know that the complexity of it isn't going to jolt you or startle you.
No. It's you're always, you have some fun surprises sometimes, but it's
Well, it's nice to know I still have a few of those.
You do. You got some, and we're always looking to honor everybody's opinions and have everybody voice matter, and that's what I'm trying to incorporate now is getting some of the feedback from the young people about how they want their work to be, because they have specific ideas about how things should be, and it's not really always realistic. So sometimes you got to shock them a little bit and just say, hey, we have to work 16 hours today and get this done.
Sure.
This is where we have to be, and where we're like right here. The load into this show is a prime example. We had to have a big push that day, and there was a cable truss that didn't get put up until 2 hours after we were into our install, and it really caused a lot of problems.
But you know how to solve those problems. Now.
You just
and you're able to
find
teach
a way to
how
work.
to solve those
Right.
problems, and that's a huge thing.
And I think that's what helped a lot of the people that were all like, well, we're all just standing around the same place. Yeah, we can't be standing around the same place. We have to figure out a plan so that we can all do this in one effort and not have 6 different levels of tape and ties and everything else. We just need to try to do it all. And that includes audio and lighting. Anybody that was in that HOD, you just had to find a way to make it cohesive and not take up too much time. It was a day, it was a day sucker. It was a hard day.
Yeah, well, the important part though is that there's people of your quality and your expertise to get that done.
Yes.
You faced that problem. You faced similar problems. You know what the answers are.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to get across. And I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Randy.